Cannon. I am the Oshkosh Poet Laureate. I'm one of the many poets in Oshkosh, and I just want to talk to you a few minutes about how writing and poetry is important in our lives. Writing is a way to think about something in a different way. If you're stuck and you feel like you have no options and you're going through a lot of problems, I believe in writing. Put down what is on your mind. And perhaps poetry is about thinking about something in the most powerful way, because you have to define it. You have to pick out something that is a symbol or an analogy of what you're going through or what's on your mind. It's also a way to strip away everything else. Okay? I'm a big believer in just free writing and journaling, and just to keep writing until you've expressed yourself and got out some things you only knew subconsciously. However, then, why not go back, turn your free writing into a poem that distills everything going on into something manageable and a piece of art. Perhaps you just focus on one thing, figure things out, and then move on. I remember many times being upset and worried about something and wanting to get down on paper. Part of that is that I'm a writer and I want to use it in a story or a poem. But I also want to write it down, define it so I can get it out of my mind. What I found many times that the words on the paper came out differently than I expected, because I was accessing a different part of my brain. I came up with different ideas about my problems. I was surprised by what came out. When my son was young, I wrote a poem about his autism. It actually began as a celebration of who my son was. The title of the poem is Advantages of Autism. This is another power of poetry. It helps us to savor the things that you are grateful for. In this poem is an image of me pushing him on a swing, and that was my inspiration for the poem. And here it is. One hand on each knee you require, a push every time. You swing back to where I am sitting. I say silly things and you laugh. But sometimes you are within yourself, just enjoying the movement, and I am quiet too. It's okay to be within yourself sometimes and just feel the breeze, watch the sun behind western clouds, telling us the day is fleeting, but right now is beautiful. Right now is enough. Pushing someone in a swing can get old pretty quickly. Probably on my way of calling it quits, but then I just wanted to be in the moment. This poem helped me figure things out about his autism. While our family challenges were small compared to some families with a child with autism, still there was times that there was things that we struggled with. He was in a special program until he was 5, and we had to work with him on learning PACS picture exchange system. People use pictures of items to get their desired things they cannot speak. We're also looking to have our child engage with sensory experiences. So I enjoyed pushing him in the swing, mostly. But then as I worked on the poem, I worked to explain why it was important to do things like push him on the swing. Here's the analogy that's a little later in the poem. You could use to the swaying like a beginner on a tightrope. Once steady, you could make sense of the world around you. Or like a cheap maze game where you waggle the game to get the small metal balls through the obstacles and seated in the divot that wins the game. Your sense of self might roll around and sink into the right spot. This stanza helped to encourage myself, to keep me going. It allowed me to nail down what it was like. People with autism have sensory disintegration. It is a multi-dimensional syndrome. But his family, us, we wanted to expose him to the world, have him interact with it, and perhaps identify who he was and the things around him. So I needed to write that poem. I needed to encourage myself. I needed to work things out. Was I doing enough? And I don't know if I was. But just to get that image was something I could hold on to.